Hey everyone, we are here with Kelly today. Kelly is a student in the program. She's crushing it. Kelly, do you want to give the people an introduction? Just name, maybe where you're from, what city, from background.
Yes, absolutely. So, my name is Kelly. I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I am 24 years old.
24 years old. So before you got started in the program, did you have any previous business experience, or what kind of led to you wanting to start your own business?
Well, I studied commerce in CEGEP, so on the Quebec side, and basically, I've always wanted to have my own business. So I studied in like management, trying to see if I could learn a bit from, let's say, like their courses. And then I realized, listen, when it comes to e-commerce, you have to do like it yourself in order to
Yeah.
learn. So I started looking into Amazon. I've done low ticket drop shipping. It's actually sad when I truly think about everything that I tried. But yeah, so I've tried a lot of different things before starting high ticket drop shipping.
Cool. So you had a really good month in August, correct? What was the final sales revenue number did you hit in August?
It was 28,520 something. I don't have the exact number, but around those lines, yeah.
That'll close enough. Close
Yeah.
enough. I remember one of the coaches said, I don't know what channel it was in, but they were saying how well you were doing, and they said you only spent, it wasn't very much on ads. So how much did you spend on ads to actually hit that?
Unfortunately, I wish I had the exact number. I don't, but I know that let's say one sale was like 16,000, and that probably cost me like, for that brand, I think my bids are less than $7 per click. So that one customer most likely charged. Well, I was charged $7 for a $16,000 order. So
That's insane. That's insane. So I think you said in the wins channel. So before, when you were trying low ticket, you've been trying to sell like low quality, the TikTok, make TikTok viral kind
yeah.
of drop shipping. So how would you? That's how I started as well. I wasn't doing TikTok. TikTok wasn't a thing when I got started. I guess it was, but it wasn't that popular. I was running Facebook ads, but same type of products. What has been kind of your experience going from that to now to this? It almost seems like probably unbelievable in a way.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, when it comes to low ticket, I didn't have mentorship. So I don't really think I can compare, let's say, both experiences, because obviously I'm going
Yeah.
to say it's much smoother with the mentorship, although it's like a much more complicated like business model. So yeah, unfortunately, without the mentorship, I was basically I'm. It's not that I'm embarrassed to say it, but I was posting videos of like random products that I believed was going to like blow up, and then I had my website waiting to see what product it was, so that way I can like frame it into like one product store. It was a mess. Not having mentorship is definitely challenging.
What was the give us a product that you had tried to do that for.
So one of like on TikTok, one of my most viral video was a neck massager. I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard about it. So I had like taken videos from like a Chinese platform, and then you just post it on TikTok, and then obviously the views go up, and it allows you to film it without showing your face. But honestly, I haven't driven one sale from that video. So yeah.
Yeah. I didn't either. I don't think I made one single sale on like I tried a whole bunch of stuff. I did like watches, dog carriers, some sort of sink thing for the kitchen, like all sorts of these random items, but same sort of experience. So before you mentioned that you were going to school for commerce, you kind of realized that I realized the same thing. Like university can be helpful, very helpful in some regards for like time management and meeting people and things like that. But I think it would be so much better if there was like e-commerce classes and like even digital marketing classes and things like that. So when you went from university to e-commerce, do you still work a job or did you go right to school to this? How has that transition been?
So I guess you can consider me as a workaholic, because not only was I starting my Amazon store, I had an internship while keeping my part-time job, and just doing all of my business ventures. So I was a bit overwhelmed, but I still made it work. So when I did Amazon, I had mentorship. That was my first time ever like truly paying for a course, and I saw the difference with the result. I'm just not. It's just not the business model that I want to do, which is why I ended up switching. But yeah, I did quite a few things at the same time.
And now are you working with the store or are you doing only the store?
Um, Sorry, can you repeat your question? So you said working with a store?
No, no. So are you working like a full-time job right now, like a 9 to 5 with the store, or how are you managing your time?
Yes, unfortunately, I am still doing the 9 to 5 with the store. It can be challenging, but making it work for now.
Do you do that from home or do you actually go into an office?
I have to go in the office 2 times per week, and I think Cabrin, he knows me as anytime he hears me whispering, that's how he at the office. I call by like that's my balance. That's the way I balance it, like for now.
That's nice. I think a lot of people now, like after the pandemic, like they're in work positions now where they're still working the 9 to 5, but they are home for like kind of like you most of the
Mhm.
week. So it's definitely possible to do something like this alongside. And I'm glad you mentioned Cabrin. So you had that one big order last month for like $16,000. Cabrin is, for context, everyone listening, he's a coach in the program now. So he started off and he's had a lot of success doing B2B. So he's been doing like, I think he does email outreach, call outreach, he does all sorts of different stuff to get business to business sales for like very high amounts. Was that the $16,000 order? Like, how did you actually get that? Was that from ads? You said it was from ads, but it was a business?
Exactly. So both huge sales that I got are from ads, but they were from businesses. So that's what made me realize, okay, I need to start talking to Cameron more and like figure out like a plan because clearly it's a B2B, B2C type of niche, but there's definitely a demand on the B2B side.
So when did you actually first launch your store? Like, when did you join the program?
I joined the program in March. I'm not the proudest at the speed at which I've been moving because I know this the course teaches you have to just keep the ball rolling
Yeah.
and always get things done. Unfortunately, I had my Google Merchant Center suspended quite a few, well, 2 times. So that kind of like delayed me. But when it comes to truly launching my store, I would say maybe I had ads running mid July, but my first full month of running ads was last month in August.
Oh, wow. So you literally came out of the gates flying in. To your point, yeah, we definitely push you guys to kind of move fast, like to act with urgency. But obviously, there's going to be some things like a merchant center ban that you have no control over. So it sounds like what you did is kind of similar. Trigvi earlier, a student earlier on had, he's the SEO coach now, but he had a similar situation where he had a long, long ban. I think it was even longer than yours, but he kept adding more and more suppliers throughout the whole ban. So then when he did get live, he took off really quick, like it sounds like you did. So while you didn't technically launch until July, I'm sure that whole time period you were like putting in the work, closing suppliers, getting good products on your store. Is that right?
Well, so in the so when it comes to like what you tweet, you said sometimes you can build a really large brand off of one distributor.
Yep.
So the distributor that I closed carries like 80 something brands, and these are
Wow.
the biggest brands within my niche. So I have yet to even finish uploading all of their products. I will say that sometimes it can be challenging to continue to work on your store when you're dealing with something like a Google Merchant Center ban, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't know when you're going to get unbanned. So now you start feeling like stressed because you're like, do I keep putting in money into this without really truly knowing that I will be able to like move forward or whatnot. So that was definitely challenging, and I had stopped my product uploads at some point. But that's nowadays, anytime I have obstacles, I just continue with the product uploads. So unfortunately, I did not continue to close suppliers simply because I have a lot to upload right now as it is. But overall, I still kept the ball rolling, and I eventually started a new project with my virtual assistant in order to continue adding more products to the website.
Awesome. I had no idea that you had a distributor that had that many brands. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Literally, it's sometimes it's better. And just for context, anyone listening, if you don't know what a distributor is, so usually, like when we're doing outreach, we're trying to close the brand directly, like reaching out to them, asking them to sell their products. A distributor is essentially um, a middle company that has a whole bunch of brands, but in some cases they'll actually give you better margins and they have way better shipping rates because they're shipping 80 brands products versus just one. So you can, if you get a really good distributor like Kelly has, you can literally build your whole store and have like an unlimited amount of products to upload from like super high end brands from one single distributor, which is super cool. How did you actually find that distributor? Were you like purposely looking for distributors or how did you come across them?
No, I don't know how I found it. I think I was looking for supply, and then I ended up on their website, and then eventually I realized that they carry many brands, and that they are indeed a distributor. But honestly, when it comes to this journey, I just, obviously I've put in the work, definitely, but that I got lucky to land on that distributor.
Yeah, so cliche, but the harder you work and the more time you spend doing research and stuff, the higher likelihood you're going to get lucky and find a distributor like that. So makes lucky, yes, but also you did put in the work. So I wouldn't say entirely. So you mentioned you have a VA, a virtual assistant, which I'm sure is super helpful when you're working your job. What have you delegated to the VA, and what are you still doing?
So for now, I've only delegated product uploads simply because, like as previously mentioned, I have a lot to upload. I haven't outsourced customer service just yet because I get calls while I'm in the office, which can be inconvenient because I have to run into like a small meeting room and try to like close a sale or something. But I don't get as many to the point where I have to like outsource it yet. I'm still able to pick up most of my phone calls, so I think that's mainly luck because they're not calling me while I'm in like work meetings. But so far these are what product upload is what I outsourced.
That's yeah. I remember the when I got started, I was doing all the calls at the beginning, just like you are, and that was one of the most painful parts of growing my business is when I let that go because like it's our business, like we care about it. Even if you get a perfect VA, they're just not going to naturally care as much as us, and like they're not going to have that willingness to like really go above and beyond for the customers. You can train them and you can find awesome people, but it is hard, and you almost just to give you like the best advice I can give on when to do that is when you do it, your sales probably will take a temporary dip. But then that time that you're saving, having to answer phone all the time, like it doesn't sound like it's too bad right now. But it will get to a point where it's like too much to do. And then when it's too much to do because it's taking away from ads, it's taking away from like other things that get important as you scale, that's when it kind of makes sense. But you'll see like a temporary drop, but then all the time you're having to do other stuff will actually make up for the gain down the line. But it doesn't sound like you're quite there yet. So yeah, keep doing it as long as you can. But there will, I think, be a point where you're like, okay, I have to let this go. So what do you think now? Obviously, you're only been really running ads for a little bit over a month. Come out of the gates really hot. What do you think's kind of between right now and you getting to the next level? So I think you hit around 28 in August. If you had to guess, what do you think you need to do on your end to get like to let's say 60 or 70 per month?
I would say, according to the advice given by my mentor, Joel, it would be to continue to invest in ads and obviously to continue uploading, let's say, like premium brands. So, usually, people would say closing more suppliers, but because I already have access to these products lines or whatnot, so it would simply be to add them onto my website and like get that ready before Q4 because I believe that my niche peaks in not only during the summer but in Q4. So, Brooke, you don't understand. Like, it's like part of me, I'm like, how is my life going to be at the end of the year? Because there's going to be a peak. Obviously, I want to make sure that I'm ready. So, these two things is what I keep hearing, and it's crazy because whenever you feel like you've done these two things, you want different advice, but it's literally as simple as that. It's
Yeah,
simply like optimize your ads and like add more suppliers to the website. So that's
yeah.
what I.
It's kind of it depends on the person. Like sometimes, like if you were at 28,000 in sales and you had spent like 5,000 in ads or something, then my advice would be like, okay, you've seen some results. You're probably not super profitable yet because you've spent quite a bit on ads. So we need to figure out which ads are working, trim the fat on the other ones, and then continue adding more brands. But for you and people in your situation where you've spent like 1,000, maybe a bit more on ads, but have like a 20x, 25x ROAS, sometimes all you need to do to double your sales is just double your ad spend because you're already like the ROAS is amazing. It's not like you can really even improve that at all. You probably like if you have a 25x ROAS, it probably means you need to spend more because it's almost too high. So yeah, especially during Q4 as you see your items peak, like with the items peaking when you actually start increasing your ad spend, I think you're yeah, in a great position to do very, very well. And Joel's completely right. Like a lot of times people will want the magic trick, like do this, go talk to the guru who lives on a mountain in a cave and he'll tell you some secret spell that's going to magically make your store rainfall sales. But that's not the case. It's just good suppliers and good ads. But it's not complicated, but it's also not easy. So where you're at now, if you could go back to Kelly in February, what advice would you give yourself in terms of like the journey you've been on now? Like, is it harder than you thought it was going to be? Is it what you expected? Has it been a personal development journey? Like, what's the journey been so far, and what advice would you give to yourself if you could go back?
Honestly, I love business at the end of the day, so this has been a blast. Honestly, because I was doing e-commerce before, and the fact that I have mentors now, it means that every move that I make is like it's backed by like expert advice, which I absolutely love. And because of that, I procrastinate, sorry, a little less, because whenever you know that the work that you're putting in, let's say for example, I'll help my VA and I'll add a few, let's say like products to the spreadsheet. It's really insane because I'll add like one row, and who knows, that row could literally be like a $25,000 sale just because I
Yeah.
took like a minute to like put into the work and adding those products. So um, I would say that the journey was a bit challenging at first, because you would think that because people invest into mentorship. So for me, I kind of had to dip into my investments in order to reinvest into the mentorship. And honestly, you would think that people actually will put in the work simply because they're paying for mentorship, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I had to really just put in the work, show up every day, do what it's like what you guys advise us to do. Follow the advice blind. I would say blindly in a way. Obviously, the advice that is given is like catered to a certain extent because we're all dealing with like different niches or whatnot. But I try my best to say, listen, whatever thing that my friends would might say and disagree, at the end of the day, you guys are the experts, so I listen to whatever advice you guys give. And yeah, honestly, after having put in all this work, it's really crazy how it makes it seem like the process is easy, although I still have a whole lot of work to do. But like one of my $9,000 sale, it happened when I was in a meeting at work. I just came back to my desk and I saw like a $9,000 note sales
Those are the
notification.
best. Yeah.
It's not, it feels so easy, and to the point where sometimes I forget, like, no, I actually put in like hours of work in order to get to this point. But now that things are like automated in a way, it
Yeah.
makes it seem very easy. Meanwhile, it's still challenging but doable.
You made a bunch of really good points that I want to touch on. I think like when people, like you said, the if you actually put the work in, what you invest in a mentor is going to be cheaper than trying to figure it out yourself. In my experience, anyway. Like even now, like it's so much cheaper to just pay someone some money to tell me what to do than trying to figure it out by myself. Because like as your business grows and as you're doing more and more higher numbers, mistakes get more and more costly. Like if you're running your ads wrong and you're spending like $1,000 a day, you're like it's costing you a lot of money rather than paying someone to tell you to do it right. But I think you made yeah. So number one is when you actually do the work and you invest in a mentor, like it's a great ROI. The second thing is I think a lot of people when they're starting a new business model, like you said, should almost blindly follow advice at the beginning, like for the first, I don't know, 6, 7 months. But I think there will become a point, and you'll know when it is, where you start to think for yourself. Like when you want to blindly follow advice, that's going to get you to like the first results. But then there'll be a point where like you start to see things in your business and you start to think for yourself that, oh, maybe I want to try this differently. And maybe you'll try it and maybe everything will go wrong and you'll be like, oh, okay, I have to go back and do things how it was before. But maybe it will work even better. And that's a really important part about being an entrepreneur is like we're mentors, like myself, your coaches, we're mentors, but we're not perfect either. Like we're just going to tell you what's worked for us. But that's not to say you might not find a better way to do things. So I think it's excellent that you value our advice, you take our feedback. But also, if you think that something makes more sense, don't be afraid to act on your own intuition and see how it works either.
I,
What's that?
no, I said I agree.
Awesome. Awesome. So with your sales to this point, has it been largely from like one or two brands, or have you had some diversification amongst your sales?
I've had some diversification, but when it comes to the large B2B sales, it came from one brand.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. If you've got a couple from one brand, that's usually, I would be increasing. If I could go into your ads account, I would be increasing it right now for that one. So for the future, what are your goals for this store? Do you want to build it up as big as you can? Do you want to potentially build it and then launch your own brand on it? Do you want to build it and sell it? Do you have an idea for your long-term goals yet?
Long term, absolutely, I would like to continue to build it and see where it can go. I think that the potential of it is, it can definitely reach numbers that I would not even picture myself doing, but definitely, I would continue to grow it. And I know that selling it is also an option. I know absolutely nothing about it, but I would love to explore that option as well because I heard that a lot of times, like the exit is where the money can be.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's definitely something I would consider. So when it comes to like building businesses and stuff, I try my best to like not attach myself too much because I know that right now I just every decision has to be strategic, so that way one day I can have my exit. But short term wise, I would love to expand in Canada because, like Kevin said, like I believe 20 to 30% of his sales come from Canada.
Yeah.
So I would love to explore that area as well.
Yeah, great points on both. I think, yeah, especially being, I'm from Canada too, so you'll find that it's a way less competitive market compared to the US. And you have the advantage of when you're doing B2B, you can actually like talk to businesses in your city. You can go like, I think Cabrin goes out for lunch sometimes with like certain businesses, and that's how he's actually closed them. I know he's closed suppliers doing that. So you can definitely use that to your advantage. So right now you're working a job. I completely agree with you. Like selling it's an option down the line. It isn't super hard to do. Like there's brokers that essentially is like a real estate agent, but for a store, they can help you do it. But I think your store has a lot of potential. And for now, just focus on the next thing in front of you, which is going to be growing it. But the next kind of step, do you think that you would want to ever, or at which point would you want to stop your job and go all in on the store? Would you want to be making a certain amount per month? Would you want it to be more than the job? Would you want to see like some element of consistency for like, let's say 5 or 6 months where you make a certain amount before you quit? Or when would you want to do that, if at all?
It's hard to say when you're not as happy at your job because I feel
Yeah.
like it's too much for me to want to just say, okay, I want to focus on high tech e-commerce. Um, I think I would need to see some consistency, and I think like let's say when it comes to my job, I'd probably build like a proper emergency saving just to be sure that I'm doing the right thing because it would be the first time that I just simply would not be working. But yeah, ideally, I would like to see consistency. Let's say maybe for like 3 months, and then as I'm building my savings, just to be safe because obviously whenever you're secure, let's say like you have your job or whatnot, you make proper like and
Yeah.
strategic decisions because you're not
Yeah.
depending on let's say like the money generated from your business. But whenever that's the only money that you have, then it kind of like affects the decisions that you make. So yeah, ideally I would love to have time freedom, financial freedom. That is the absolute goal. That is what is on my dream board, and that's what I know that I will be able to achieve. But I need to see the consistency first.
Makes sense. Yeah. I wish I could have given myself that advice. I was not so I was not so smart. When I dropped out of school, I had like debt, no job, and I just had to make the store work. I had no choice. But that was a bit crazy looking back. Like looking back now, if I could give myself more advice, I would be like, number one, start the store earlier than I did. But for people who are working a job, especially if you have any sort of family commitments or anything, it's not a good idea to just like drop everything with minimal savings and try and just build a store from scratch. Like Kelly said, not going to be making the smartest decisions if you do that. But yeah, I think yeah, you said it right. Is save up a savings amount that you're comfortable with. That for a certain amount of time, you know that you have X amount of time with this much savings to go really all in on this, and then your mind will be at ease knowing that you're covered if anything goes wrong, and that will actually probably help the business grow faster. So I think you absolutely nailed it. And just last question. What is some advice for people joining the program? So it could be our program that we're in. It could just be starting high ticket e-commerce overall. What advice would you give for someone considering the business model and considering getting started with it?
I would say to not procrastinate and actually put in the work because, like I previously said, I was like, okay, I made the investment. I'm for sure going to, put in all the work. And then I think like I had my first obstacle, and then I caught myself procrastinating. And I was like, you think that just because I like made the investment that I was actually going to put in the work, but you have to really like get yourself to like get up and like do the work, even though like you said, you always say it's repetitive and boring, but you just have to do it because at the end of the day, at some point you're building the foundation, and at some point it will be automated, but in the beginning, you know, you have to put in like a lot of hours in. So that's definitely number one advice. Follow the advice blindly. And what else can I suggest to people? I can't think of anything. I know that when it comes to me, I probably have so many advice to give, but honestly, it's just if you put in the work, because I think when it comes to your program, and I mean, hopefully it's something that stays for a while, I think one of the guarantees, and that's what made me tell myself, okay, I'm going to get this program, is one of the guarantee is if you join a coaching call every week, and if you obviously interact with your mentors every single week, because you guys ask for updates, weekly updates, you know, that's when you can potentially get a guarantee of getting your money back, because clearly you've done everything that you've
Exactly.
supposed to do in order to succeed. So that's the main reason why, because I said, listen, if I either put in the work and do everything that is told of me, and then I end up having a success story, or I'm guaranteed my money back. So I see like it's a win-win situation for me. So that's what I went by, and I love the fact that the program is a 6-month program. So the moment that I signed up, I said, wow, like in 6 months from now, I just know my life is going to be so different. So honestly, it's just literally doing the work. Like I as easy, it sounds cliche or whatever, but it's not obvious to everyone. But that's the main advice that I would have to give.
Excellent advice. And just on the guarantee point, I think a lot of people they misinterpret that, because the point of the guarantee is to do exactly what you just said. It's to say like, this is what you need to do on your end. If you come in and actually do this stuff, if you come in and get feedback, you get feedback from your coaches, you put in the work every single week, and then you don't see results, then that's on us. Then we didn't build a good enough program. It's not supposed to be like where you come in, not do anything for the whole time, and then ask for your money back after not following any instructions. The whole point of it is to make you do that. And that's also why some of the, like when, part of the reason the program costs what it is because you put skin in the game. Like if I put the exact same program and I did everything the same and I made it $50 and I made it what the price it is now, the success stories would be exponentially higher with the higher price point. Because when you invest in something like that, like you said, it makes you, when you make an investment, you're serious about it. You've actually put skin in the game. Then you have to take action. And then if there's a guarantee that you're going to get a certain result, if you do take action, you're just so much more likely to actually do this stuff. Because like we said earlier, this is not complicated at all. It's really simple, and you just have to execute. And when you hit those roadblocks, to not stop. And that's what a lot of, like, another good point you made is when you're starting, you're essentially trading, you're putting all this work in, like so much work, and nothing's happening. You don't have a store launched, and then you get the store launched, and then you're trying to figure out ads. Everything feels frustrating. But the real switch is when you get to the point where you said, where you have the store built, you have the suppliers closed, you have a VA, and then you're away from your desk, you're away from your phone, and you come back and you just made like $2,000 or $3,000. But the reason you did that is because you put all the work in first to build the asset. And it's a big switch compared to an employee mindset where like you go to work Monday to Friday, you get X amount of dollars for your time. But if you were fired or if you quit, you have no more money ever coming in. It's just you're not putting more time in, no more money. Where this, you put all the time in at first to build it, but then it's an actual thing that can generate money without you, which is a mental flip for some people. And that's why I think so many people stop before they even get to that point. Awesome. Well, any final thoughts, Kelly?
Well, I guess we can finish it off with a banger. So, this week while I was at work, I got a phone call from, you know, sometimes it's like Google automated like calls, but I take them all because who knows how much the sales can be. And the customer was calling in about a $45,000 order, and
Wow.
so they said that they had to like, you know, look into it with like let's say I believe like family members or whatever, because they might, I don't know, I think it's a bit B2B order, but who knows? So I have to follow up with this customer on Monday, but I realized that another customer added one of their $26,000 products to like their cart on my website. So that I'm gonna try to use that as like a way to get them to check out because obviously their total order number or whatever is much higher than the other customers. But this just goes to show how like high ticket dropshipping, like one day you could just make $45,000 just out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
if you were to convert, that is more than half of my current salary, and just out of like just on 1 month. So like I am a very big fan of high ticket e-commerce. It's something that has changed my life, and I know that it will continue to do so. And at the time that I was about to, let's say, hop into the coaching program, it took me a while. I tried to do the free class, and I was like, no, like I really need that those like expert advice because that's what really like helped me so much. So anybody that might be questioning whether or not they should do it, I have had so many obstacles, and when I tell you this program is like so refreshing, even right now, like Joel, my mentor, he checked up on me this morning, and right after this phone call, I will send him a message telling him like where I'm at in the program in order to like see if there's any roadblocks that he can help me out with. So I don't know. There's not more that I can say other than like actually take the leap of faith and like put in the work. And if you show up every day, it's literally a guarantee. And that's what I love about the program. And I think that people should really give it a try.
Excellent. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Kelly. And once you hit 100 a month, we'll have you back on for round two. Sound good?
I'm very excited about that. I will see you
Awesome.
soon.
We'll see you soon. Have a great day. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
Cool.